just once we get time travel or teleportation.
Perfect.
We'll do that.
Yeah, sure.
Are we ready for article?
We're not, but let's do it.
Do it anyway.
Let's go for it.
Ned Fulmer of the Try Guys, who originally come from BuzzFeed, has just come clean about cheating on his wife with a subordinate employee at their independent company. Yikes.
I had to before we get into it, I had to have Mary explain context to me because believe it or not, I don't give a crap.
I know too much about this, and I didn't know that I did.
She knew a shocking amount about the Try Guys.
Do you know about their testosterone levels?
That was one of the things I remember them doing.
That was the only thing I knew about them.
I also remember them.
Somebody explain before we get into it. Let's have somebody explain that. So
their testosterone levels. Okay, so they did a video called like the Try Guys, or like which one of the Try Guys is the most attractive to women. And they used multiple different factors, but one of them was they all got their testosterone levels tested by a doctor. And also in another video, they tested their sperm count too. I haven't looked at that.
I would not.
Yeah, but it's probably also tragically low. But they found that all four of the Try Guys have dangerously low testosterone levels, comparable to the average 85-year-old man.
Oh my gosh.
Even the highest testosterone level from Eugene Lee Yang was too low for a guy his age. So it's not a surprise that they would work at a company like BuzzFeed, which is notorious for being obsessed with social justice messaging and programming. Basically, my generation. I am the generation that was the consumer of their content.
Yeah, we were explaining that. Said me and you's generation is the generation of BuzzFeed employees. Her generation is the
viewers. And as I was looking into this scandal, I was looking through Try Guys videos from back in the day and newer ones, and I saw the ones that they posted back in 2014, 2015. I had already watched them. I saw the little red bar at the bottom. I was like, wow, I watched all of these when I was younger, and I didn't remember that I did, but
so the guy
this was like what was popping on YouTube back in 2014.
So the guy with extremely low testosterone still ended up cheating on his wife.
That is interesting.
Yeah, but I feel like maybe those things are correlated in an unexpected fashion.
How so?
I wouldn't be able to analyze it very intelligently, but
I think I have an idea.
Tell us.
I think this is a male feminist thing, and I think this might actually be a case of power making a difference in whether someone will hook up with you. Just because he
so he's making up for his low T by having a high status.
Being skeezy, right, by doing terrible things.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody would say, well, we were talking about it last night, I will say, and I'll pull from that a little bit. I don't think anybody would say that if somebody cheated on his wife, it is a marker of high, like, male virility. It's not. That's a sign of like beta behavior as far as I'm concerned. Because Tim was like, oh yeah, he had low testosterone, but look at this, he gets a bunch of ladies. And then he was thinking about it more. And he's like, oh no, that's really not good. That's not something a guy with really strong masculine can do.
I guess the idea here would be that like he has low testosterone, but it's made up for by the fact that he doesn't have to try as hard because he has a high status job. If he actually had to try,
because his job actually is not cool.
No.
Because for his job, he has to, like, the very first Try Guys video was trying on women's panties.
Ew.
They also did simulate, like, the Try Guys try going into labor, where they simulate suffering labor pains. And they sit spread eagle for YouTube to see, all the world to see.
Gross.
And they get their sperm count tested. They get their T levels tested. And they get relentlessly mocked for it.
It's kind of humiliating.
You know what I want to see?
It's all about that. Like,
I want to see his instant messages. Is he as bad as Adam Levine?
I was going to say, at least you got to send super cringy text messages.
Is there an oh my god, your body is absurd text in there somewhere?
I love it so much.
I bet you there is.
Maybe.
The humiliation Adam deserves, honestly.
And I think this was well, let me just say, for anyone who's unaware, because Brett kind of was, the Try Guys from BuzzFeed, they started in 2014. All they do is just basically videos trying on costumes, trying foods. They try different stunts, like they crashed cars into each other, or like they shot guns for one video, which is surprising. They dressed up in drag. They've done all sorts of things. So what people come back for is the personality factor, not just watching people do random shit.
And you're saying that his personality is particularly...
Yeah, he built his personal brand on the channel as a hyperbolically doting husband and father, which is extremely telling now that we found out it was completely a facade the entire time. So, like, on their side channel, I went and looked at their videos and found they even posted compilations of, like, Ned Fulmer mentioning his wife for 7 minutes straight. Or Ned and Ariel, his wife, are absolutely perfect together.
It's all a facade.
And it's all fake. And
we think that the beta doth protest too much.
Right.
So he got ousted from the Try Guys once this came to light.
And not just ousted, but they like actually went back.
They retroactively edited him out of their videos,
which I thought was fairly egregious, given all the dude did was cheat on his wife. But that was before I knew that such a big part of his character was that he was a dude who was like really, really into
like a
family
family
guy,
man who is.
I still think it's ridiculous to fire the dude. That's my personal take on it.
Why is that?
I just don't.
Because I feel like that would ruin their friendship and working relationship if you can't personally trust each other.
I wonder if you
especially with your own staff members. Well, he was cheating on his wife with a staff member particularly. But
she wasn't. But it wasn't like against her will. The lady.
No, it wasn't against her will, and he did make sure to say it was consensual because he knows that there are legal troubles that could follow from this.
Couldn't they suspend the dude and bring him back later?
I don't know.
Once you've broken that trust and the easygoing nature of the way that they do content,
it's hard. Yeah,
you can't come back from that. And
but
also, your reputation in the eyes of the fans has been shattered because that's who they knew you as and loved you to be. But
people love a redemption story. True. I do believe that people still love redemption stories.
Oh, maybe that could come in the future, but for now it doesn't seem likely.
Keep him on as a producer, and I'm not justifying.
For all we know, they are.
Yeah, I'm not justifying this dude's actions. What I'm saying is that I don't know if like something that's clearly not a legal matter. He didn't commit a crime. He's just kind of a scumbag. That doesn't prevent him from. I'm guessing they're probably all producers on the show as well by now. If they've been doing it for as long as they have. Keep the dude on as a producer and find a way to see if you can bring this dude back and do a redemption arc.
I mean, for all we know, all that's been revealed to us, he could still have financial stake in the company, and he could still have a creative control of some kind behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's also possible that there was other stuff going on here that they were kind of looking
that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah, they were kind of looking for a reason to get rid of him anyway.
Well, that's pretty common in that.
Maybe.
In that industry.
Right.
But they also thrive off of the idea that they're close friends, and that's a selling point of their brand as well.
If you lose that, and then he loses his character as a family guy, it's going to be hard.
That's hard.
Then the fans don't want to buy your product anymore.
Right.
And that's hard when your real life becomes intertwined with your online, like with your digital life. Your brand, and that's not easy to turn both together, because then when somebody steps out of line, everybody is then affected
on the hook,
and then you have to ask them like, what, it's one of those times where you can actually say, what were you thinking? You weren't thinking of anyone else but yourself, because when the camera's off, you're not thinking of it that way. You're not thinking about what it's going to happen to everyone else when this happens, just like most people don't.
Yeah, it makes me think of a band with like their creative differences. Like there's a reason that people always say this. It's hard to work with the same team of like small team of people in a very public setting for a really long time.
They're a comedy troupe outside of the Try Guys. The first thing I thought of when I think of comedy troupe was those guys who like in Toronto who like canceled themselves for not being diverse enough. Do you remember that?
No, that sounds amazing.
There was like a comedy troupe, and they're like
So
people
good.
were like, "You're not diverse enough," because it's like 4 white guys from Canada, because it's Canada,
right?
And they're like, "We are so sorry that we are not," and they literally stopped being a thing because people told them they were bad.
Well, because the Try Guys were formed in 2014, before that would have been a problem that they're all white.
Oh no, this group was too. But they're like retro. People are like,
you have to retroactively apologize for
so stupid.
being who you are. I guess.
So it says, thanks to everyone who has reached out to me. It means a lot. Nothing is more important to me and Ned than our family. And all we request right now is that you respect our privacy for the sake of our kids.
This is Ariel.
Yeah. This is his wife.
Instagram.
They do have kids. Oh man.
So
that sucks.
Two babies. One of them was born in 2018 and one was in 2020.
Guess the sperm count wasn't that low. But geez, keep it in your pants, man.
There was an amazing chat that I wish had been a super chat yesterday where they said Alec Baldwin has 7 kids. Take that, and Helena Hutchins, he's never shot a blank.
Oh, he never shot a blank in his life, right? Oh my god.
Oh no,
I was like,
why didn't you read that on Airy Ben?
Terrible.
I was like, that.
So bad.
It made me giggle. It's Alec Baldwin, man. He's like, what's the meme? It says like, I stand behind Alec Baldwin because I'm sure as hell not standing in front of him.
You know why it's so much easier for mainstream celebrities to recover from scandals that are far worse than this, than just an affair? It's because people don't form the similar parasocial relationship with them that they would a YouTuber.
That's why I tell them not to have social media. I was like, tell these celebrities, I'm like, don't run your own social media. It's bad for you.
Yeah.
But
this job for the Try Guys, it requires them to be intensely engaged with the audience.
Yeah. Like even us, like I tell people to follow me and like I respond when I can, but it's like you don't have like, we're also like, it's different when you're like smaller and you have to like, you're doing all the work and it's not like you're handing stuff off to other people. You're very busy all the time,
right?
But you still want to be try to be engaged, but you also can't all the time. If I was a mainstream celebrity with the mainstream apparatus behind me, I would never even think of using Twitter or any of these things. I would just let somebody else do that.
Well, the default really, because human psychology cannot help it, is to feel like you have a personal connection with someone whose face is moving in front of you and speaking to you. You don't register that it's on a screen. Yeah. And we can warn against it all we want, but it's undeniable that this happens. It even happens here. Like, we can tell the audience right now, don't trust us or like us for who you think we are off screen.
Yeah.
Like us for what we are right here, right now, and what we do here.
Frankly, I'm awful. Why would no?
We could be, for all you know.
I'm
literally,
pretty,
and it should only matter what we offer to you right here and now.
Yeah.
But because of human psychology, it's literally
Very
impossible not to form that parasocial bond.
That's definition of separating the art from the artist. So you need to be able to look at what someone produces and kind of you just
that's a
have
little bit harder here because our opinions are so directly tied to what we're creating,
and it's also inherently imbalanced because we are required to have all the vulnerability.
Yeah.
And the viewer doesn't have to give anything.
One of the things that I struggle with most of the time is like I read a lot of comments that are very eloquently written, and I am a far better spoken person written than I am linguistically. So I actually feel like I'm at a disadvantage most of the time when I'm trying to make a point, and then I read somebody who makes the same point, but they make it far better. And I'm like, I might have been able to do that if I had been able to write this out, but it's not going to be authentic. Like there was a time when I was trying to take more detailed notes and be more prepared in how I would speak, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work the same way. So.
Ultimately, you just have to develop it as an off the cuff thing.
Yeah, it's a practice, unfortunately.
Or unless you're me and you get really mad and then you can't even read because you're so mad, you're just annoyed.
Just going off
at Elizabeth Banks.
It's great. Everyone loved it. Don't worry.
I mean, I'm annoyed at the Try Guys
because you're more stoic than me.
I always knew that this was a justifiable punishment. Like they always postured themselves as male feminists and as the most harmless. That's what it is. It's looking harmless that they're obsessed with.
The very definition of the Jordan Peterson bit about like you have like you're just because you're harmless doesn't mean that you're not dangerous.
The more work it takes you to seem harmless to people, the more dangerous you are in reality, right?
Well, Jordan Peterson says like you don't want to be harmless. You want to be able to have the capability of being dangerous, but be able to harness it. But as we know, male feminists prove time and time again that looking harmless does not actually make you harmless.
Yeah, that would require integrity.
So maybe what they could have done is a Try Guys, Try Marriage counseling.
Well, when I was writing this article, I said like the Try Guys have officially tried our patience or something like that. But when I was like deciding how to title it, I didn't know if I should say like, this is why you shouldn't trust content creators, because like we're content creators. That's us.
That is trust us. We are content creators.
Should you guys trust us? You can maybe trust us with opinions on movies and opinions on celebrities and things that, ultimately don't matter. But why should you have faith in who we are in
Beyond
behind
that,
closed doors and our family life. Like, that's the thing. That's the aspect that I think Ned Fulmer really exploited in the audience, is the ability to project an image that overcompensated for his wrongdoings and his shortcomings as a human being.
It's funny. I was thinking the other kind of like, there's an art to being open without revealing too much. Does that make sense?
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Like I'm fairly, I allow myself to be vulnerable about specific things that I've processed in my life that I don't feel uncomfortable with sharing with people, but may seem like it's a lot to share with someone. But it's something that I've worked through and allow myself to do that. There's a whole nother realm of stuff that I would never get into because it's something that I can't put out there.
Right.
It feels like they're taking an even worse route. It's like more surface level, but it's supposed to project honesty and safety and as if they're completely harmless. But you know, that glosses over the fact that they're just humans. I mean, Adam Levine doing this is bad because he has a wife and children. This guy is bad because he has a wife, children, and he projected himself to be something completely different.
At least Adam Levine was forthright about being a playboy and a male feminist. And
He's actually no. He falls in that same category because he called himself a male feminist.
Right.
That's the thing.
I just love women.
They believe that self-flagellation about being a man, it gives them license to two-time and behind closed doors treat women the way they feel is appropriate.
Right. Well, I have to circle back to what you said earlier because I think you're right. You said something about, what did you say about like being like open about certain things?
Yeah. There's aspects of my personality that I absolutely share. I talk a lot about addiction and things that I've gone through with substance abuse, but I'm not going to share every story.
Right. Of course.
Because there's aspects of that are so serious, so hard for me to still come to terms with how that made me as a person.
Right.
That I can give you the overall idea of what I've gone through without sharing the more horrifying things that I've said or done,
like that.
Because it's not necessarily going to help you understand me any better, and it's too vulnerable and it's too much for me to put out there because it's just it's stuff that I've worked through. I believe that I've atoned for, but is still so damning to me that mistakes I've made, right? Like, nothing illegal, but like just bad choices you've made, things you've done that you're not proud of.
Sure.
Like, I can share with you the overall idea of shame or pain or hardship.
Yeah.
But knowing where to cap it
I
is
feel like
important.
yes, and I feel like the 30,000 foot view is really valuable for. I think that's the best way to make a positive influence in other people's lives, because if other people are struggling with addiction, it's great for them to see you succeeding and be like, holy cow, this guy went through really hard times, he went through addiction, he succeeded, he came up in the world, I could probably do that too, without getting into the super nitty gritty. I think that having like a scaled back view and not, well, see, here's the difference between you and the Try Guys though, right? So you're kind of conflating them being dishonest with them being vulnerable, like being open about what they're doing.
Yeah, I have the brain of a 12-year-old. I'm
See, my memory is, oh, wow, wonderful.
Thank you.
Ooh, thank you. My memory is such that I cannot lie. Like, if I lie, I'm going to forget and then accidentally tell the truth later. So it's just like, I need to be forthright all the time. And it sounds like these guys were more interested in creating this image and then spinning this narrative with absolutely no interest in actually living up to those ideals. Living up to that. Yeah. Right. And whereas you would never do that.
And I guess that's a problem too, because this comes from, like you said, this is missing link media. This is the generation where authenticity was sold to you.
Thank you.
Their authenticity was sold to you as a product of something that wasn't mainstream television.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't get that
was a
level
new thing in the early 2010s.
Yeah, I remember. That makes sense.
So you felt like they in a way it exploits the connection that they have, that they build with you through the fact that they feel that you feel closer to them because you're not seeing them on a regular television, in a mainstream type of television role, or even a news reporter who it's like you may see that news reporter every day, but it's not like you feel close to them.
Well, do you guys think that it's possible to look at the Try Guys and be like, okay, they've been on YouTube since 2014. This is just happening now. Is this a case of people just changing?
That he might have been different before.
Right. Maybe he changed.
Oh, theoretically, they could have been just like that when it started and the fame got to him. And
Right.
Maybe.
Or maybe he evolved in a bad direction.
But it's like, ultimately, that shouldn't matter to you as the viewer.
Yeah.
It just, sometimes you can't help it. I think I'm a naturally cynical person, so like, even when I was like 14, 15 watching these stupid videos where like, I don't know, they eat octopus or something, like, I just naturally did not care who they were in their private lives.
Yeah.
Right,
I cared about the content that I was watching.
And a smart person would understand that they're not the same
but
thing.
a lot of people can't delineate like between who they are as people and who they are on the screen.
And YouTube
like
does
behind
blur that.
Yeah,
different
camera.
I mean, you hear a lot about like YouTubers who, like bigger YouTubers who have large size channels who can be very different in person because
they take advantage of the fact that they are given the benefit of the doubt automatically by their audiences.
And I'm not even sure that
time
necessarily makes them
and
bad.
time again, we've seen that disproven over and over. In fact, YouTubers tend to be worse people than the rest of the population because they're overpowered. They're overpowered by the money that they've gotten off of doing relatively little,
it
right?
It can be intoxicating. And I've heard of this phenomenon happening. You get a bunch of money, you've never had it before, and it changes you.
Yeah. I mean, think
Not
about Logan Paul S-word Forrest incident.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say they're better than that or they wouldn't be capable of that, but you weren't in his position.
You don't know
for the grace
until
of
you
God, go we, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, my immediate instinct is always to, like you said, 30,000-foot view is that firing the dude because he cheated wasn't necessarily the right move. But Mary makes a much better point that when your career is more linked connectively to who you are. Like I guess they're gonna like if a CEO did this, they do the same thing because if it came out because his image is tied to the stock price of the company,
right?
And whether
Vince McMahon,
like literally, I knew a long time ago the only thing that was going to be able to bring down Vince McMahon was Vince McMahon. He was too powerful. There was only the power of women of the female anatomy was going to be able to bring Vince McMahon down. That was the only thing because
for many
he was
men.
Like, it was very so and he was always very clearly like him and his wife very clearly for a lot of years had a marriage of just like we're married because we're business partners and like we had kids. Maybe we loved each other like that at one point, but now it's very much kind of like a transaction.
That sucks for them.
Their life is too intertwined now, and they're too busy anyway
to
really think.
Yeah, like don't worry about it. Just sleep in separate beds and just not sweat it.
Yeah. So it's like seeing that happen, and it's really funny now because Triple H took over and he's doing like really really well, and everyone knew he would do really really well because he's younger and understands the business and knows what fans want because he's more connected. He's not 800 years old.
Right.
So yeah, it's funny watching him do good work after Vince McMahon literally having to have the company pried from his hands because he couldn't stop having sex with women and then paying them money.
Calm down there.
That's what I just
saying what happened. Him, not you.
Him, not me. Yeah.
Yeah, like men in the public eye are not doing the best at maintaining their reputations right now, are they? Like,
yeah, kind of falling apart.
First, we've got Adam Levine getting flamed for awkwardly flirting with Instagram thoughts.
That's even worse because it's not like he actually slept with them.
You've got like Tristan Thompson walking out on his infant and choosing an OnlyFans model over Chloe.
Couldn't even choose a regular model. Had to choose an OnlyFans model.
Even worse, right?
Even worse.
And then you've got Nick Cannon on his ninth baby.
Yeah.
Maybe ninth baby mama.
Oof.
I don't know about his ninth baby mama, but
I think it is something like
somewhere
that.
close to it.
This guy's crazy. He thinks he's Genghis Khan.
I saw another great meme of him where it's the scene from The Dark Knight where Lucius Fox is in the room with all the cameras that Bruce Wayne set up that tap into all the phones in Gotham. And it's like 300 screens and says Nick Cannon talking to his baby mamas.
I saw a tweet that was flaming him for not financially supporting them more because one of them I think went back to work less than a month after giving birth.
Wow.
Yeah,
how much is he paying him?
I mean, he claims that he chooses his baby mamas very thoughtfully based on which ones will be able to financially support themselves and their babies.
So shady.
Well, isn't the point supposed
on
to be
their
that-
own? But it, like, I don't think you are financially able to take care of yourself and your baby if you have to work less than a month after giving birth.
But he was like, it wouldn't matter because he's legally responsible for taking care of them anyway.
Yeah,
Child
he is,
support
but he
works.
doesn't really go as above and beyond as he could, right?
Yeah, well,
I mean, really,
Well,
if he
that's
cared,
clear.
he would probably just settle down with one of them, right? So it's besides the point.
He's
but
not going above and beyond at all. Like,
No,
if, like
no.
You'd think if like your one singular
Get
pursuit,
nannies.
you'd think if your one singular pursuit was to procreate all the
Bare
time,
minimum.
that you would go above and beyond. For
It's about
them
procreating,
financially.
but not raising
Taking care.
them.
Yes.
That's right.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.